Hello, good morning, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank University College London for inviting me to this event. I also would like to thank Diplocat and all of you for being here. I've got 12 minutes, so I have to be quite synthetic, or at least try to be quite synthetic. A lot has been said about the background of the situation in Catalonia and about historical aspects and current developments in Catalonia. Well, my key question to begin with is why Catalan secessionism, which has never been a majority option in Catalonia, suddenly emerges as very strong and able to mobilize a very large number of people in Catalonia. This is new. What has happened? Why secessionism? Secessionism, in a way, demonstrates the failure of the relationship and the capacity to find an arrangement between the Catalan government and the central government in Spain. But this is a very long story. But I just would like to highlight this. Secessionism in Catalonia is new as a majority position. And this is something that we need to reflect upon the causes and also upon the consequences. And I would say, well, why is this so, that there is secessionism in Catalonia? And secessionism is generally supported by a very large number of young people, younger people. Why is that? For me, this is a puzzling question. And in my view, the cause of the current surge of secessionism is the success of democracy in Spain, the success of democratization. Spaniards were not used to live in a democratic country, having democratic rights. Suddenly, the transition to democracy allowed for that, and people learn to be democratic, learn the values of democracy, and younger people felt and feel that they are entitled to certain rights. The right to express their political aspirations, for example, and the right to decide, to explain, to choose among different options. And this is new. And this is new and has empowered younger people, and also, I would say, has shaken all the people who thought, well, the status quo can never be changed, let's not even bother talking about it, which is, it's a position, you know? And now things have changed because people in Catalonia, thanks to democratization, feel entitled to have rights and feel entitled to express their opinions. And this is a very important change. So, in my view, the current situation is a consequence of democracy. The key question that people ask themselves in Catalonia, or many young people ask themselves, is if the Scots can vote in a referendum about the future of Scotland and can have a referendum on independence, why we can't? Are we so different? What is it? Why they can and we cannot? And this is a legitimate question and a complicated question to answer, but obviously is basic. And to respond to this question, we have to look at the differences between the United Kingdom and Spain. And I would just point out three main differences. The first one, in Spain and in the United Kingdom, there are different concepts of democracy. What do I mean by that? Well, we are all in the European Union, but we know that democracy, even if it's defined lightly in an equal way, participation of the people, in different countries people understand it differently. And this is one of the challenges that we are facing in the EU. When people say democracy, they don't mean exactly the same. So, for example, in Spain, up to now, and regarding the current constitution, there is a static view of democracy, a static view of the constitution that says, well, this cannot be changed. it's a position, respectable, legitimate, okay. But as a woman, for example, if people who were against women being able to vote or being able to enter parliament, if the change had not taken place, well, we would still be respecting those laws, but obviously our position as women would be different. The same would happen with black people, the rights of black people and the rights of minorities. So I think that democracy has to have a component of dynamism, an ability to be sensitive to changes in society, because democracy has to express and represent the diversity that it has, but all the diversity, the one that we like and the one that we don't like. So I think that there is a difference here between a more static and a more dynamic view of democracy. And I find that this difference can be identified in the contrast between the positions of the United Kingdom and Spain. In terms of political culture, there is a different political culture in the UK. The United Kingdom, as Professor Hazel was telling us, has been through a very long process of democracy. The United Kingdom has credentials for a very long, really long and diverse and transformative process of what democracy means. In Spain, yes, democracy is very important, but democracy is still young. It's still young. I mean, even my grandparents, they don't live through democracy, and my parents, they didn't live through democracy when they were younger people. So obviously, there is not the same knowledge. People need to, people don't wake up one morning and become Democrats, you know. To become a Democrat, you have to work on it. And it's not that you become a Democrat forever. You have to work on it. Because democracy really demands your effort to do that. And I think that this is something that has a heavy weight when we contrast the attitudes and the ways of acting politically, because we are talking about this, of a young democracy like Spain, which has made huge progress, but it stands now at one particular point, and that cannot be compared with the longer process followed by the United Kingdom. The third point that I would mention is differences in historical background. And I'm going to be very brief, just give a very brief example. We are in London, former capital of the British Empire. Well, former because the British Empire doesn't exist as such, but the Scots actively participated and benefited of the British Empire. They were part of the United Kingdom, and they engaged in the United Kingdom. They were, yes, they had their own enclaves, but they had a lot of power in many different areas. Well, if you look at Spain, for example, Catalan merchants were forbidden to trade with the Americas for 200 years. I've got data. I mean, this is something which is proven. So obviously, the attitudes of inclusion in, you are part of us, or the legacy of we are the boss, we are the legal authority, you have to respect us, you have to obey, absolutely legitimate, but also there is a difference between being a partner and being a subject. And I think that this is something that also has a weight when we analyze the difference between these two positions. At the moment, just to conclude, say that unfortunately there is lack of dialogue between Spain and the Catalan government. And I think that dialogue is something that politicians are obliged to follow, even if they don't like each other, because they are not there to like or not like. They are there to represent the people. And there is an obligation, I think, because they took the job, you know, to do their best. I think that the current situation holds a danger because every day Catalans and Spaniards in Catalonia feel that they are being separated, placed as confronting each other. And we shouldn't underestimate this because I think it's a negative thing to have emerging in a society. And also because a situation like this cannot be sustained indefinitely. You cannot ask people systematically, you cannot ask Catalans for 10 years in a row to be going to these demonstrations all the time, because people are going to find something else, which is going to be more interesting. So there should be some scope for change. In Catalonia at the moment there is frustration and there is alienation from the state, which affects a very significant number of the population. And we know that there are people who are against the possibility of the Catalans to vote on whether they want a Catalan independence or not. But this option, the option to vote, is as legitimate, you know, for the ones that are going to say yes or the ones that are going to say no. So I think that the sooner the better we have this referendum and clear the air, because it's not a matter of dominating one above other. It's just a matter of constructing a country and finding, through dialogue in Spain and with the Spanish authorities, but also dialogue within the European Union, because something that has not been mentioned so far is that the Catalan grassroots movement at the moment is strongly pro-European, and this makes a difference in Europe, and this goes back and reflects a very important tradition in Catalan political thought that goes back at least to the 1960s and before. Thank you very much.